cousin, and friend. As we mourn the loss of David, we also celebrate a life well lived, one filled with courage, sacrifice, and an unwavering commitment to the principles that define a man and our nation. David was just not our friend and loved one or a soldier. David was a guardian of freedom, a symbol of strength, and a source of inspiration for all who had had the privilege of crossing his path. David journeyed as a defender from our homeland and was marked by a profound sense of duty and honor and privilege, an unyielding promise to protect the liberties that we hold dear, as well as to lend a smile and an extended hand to all who knew him. David Allen Morgan passed away on September 10th, 2024 at his home in Yakima, Washington. David was born on October 26, 1943 to Chester, Chet, and Vera Morgan in Outlook, Washington. He went to Castleville School and graduated from Davis High School. David lived in Yakima his whole life except for the 4 years he served in the United States Navy. Most of his Navy life was served on board ships that were stationed in Vietnam. David never married, and David did not have any children. He did, however, have several nieces, nephews, and great-nieces and great-nephews. He is survived by Teresa Widmeyer, Ginger Aston, Kim Morgan, Anson Morgan, and Emma Morgan. Also, Bev Morgan Jensen, his beloved sister-in-law, and his beloved friend who was like a sister to him, Miss Stephanie Ringer. David was preceded in death by his parents, Chet Morgan in 1989, Vera Morgan in 1998, a sister, Thelma Tillett, in 1968, and a brother, Gary Morgan, in 1983, whom I would like to add a subnote that the two of them did serve together during the Vietnam conflict. Dave was a great uncle and will be deeply missed. At this time, is there anyone who has some stories or some fond memories that they would like to share of David? And please, you can share them from where you are, because I know sometimes coming up here, people get a little nervous. But any story that you have, as small as it may be, is a large story. Stephanie.
Dave started working for my dad in 1983, installing heating and air conditioning systems. And he would come back from crawling under a house with cobwebs all over his hair and dirty clothes. And one day I walked up to him and I said, "Are you back already, you dirty old man?" And he said, "Yeah, you ugly little kid." And he's called me that, and I've called him that since that day. Yeah. He found me wherever I was. When I worked at the credit union, he would walk from Hathaway to Fifth Avenue and just pop in. "What you doing, ugly little kid?" "I'm working, dirty old man." I left there, and after my husband passed, I went to work at Banner Bank up on Nob Hill. Well, he ran into one of the guys that he used to work with, and they told him that I was there. So guess who comes showing up in the door? The dirty old man. I said, "Damn it, you found me." Yep. So we've been pretty tight for the last few years, several years. He was a good guy. Came and stayed with us for a month after he fell and fractured his hip. So I spoiled him rotten, but you know, that's what you gotta do. I will definitely miss him.
Yes, ma'am.
I remember growing up and he would just randomly show up at our house and like to go to the rodeos, and he would just come on down for a road trip, and he would show up and like, oh, Uncle Dave's here, going up the driveway. And then I moved up here 6 years ago, and when I had my son out of the NICU, he would take us to all our appointments, and he was more than willing to, hey, Uncle Dave, can you take me to my appointment? Yeah, I'll be right there. And he'd always be on time, even though it didn't start at a certain point. He wanted to be like 10, 15, half an hour early to my appointments. He was never late. And he would take us on these, me and my son, on like an hour drive out in Natchez. And when my son would cry, he'd go, well, you better pull over, get the kid to stop crying. So he would help me. He would try to help me because I was getting not frustrated, but he wouldn't stop crying. He's all, I was like, here, you do it. So he actually did. He, at one point, put my son back to sleep so we could put him back in the car seat to keep continuing our hour drive. And then we had our first Christmas in my apartment. He came over and ate all the food that I made, even though I'm not a really good cook, but he still ate all the food that I made. So, and he didn't complain about it at all. So he said it was really good. And he used to make us these little guys that, for me and my son, little guys that hang up on the wall, little arts and crafts. He was a lot into that. And then pine cones. He's like, you want more pine cones? I'm like, please, I got enough pine cones. And he'd bring me a big bag of pine cones. I'm like, I don't know where to hang these at. He's like, okay. And then he would make me a salmon dinner or whatever he would catch. He'd bring me big bags of salmon. I said, Uncle Dave, I got enough in my freezer. So he'll be missed.
Yeah. That and walnuts.
Yeah, walnuts.
Yeah.
I got enough, Uncle Dave.
Oh, we all got walnuts.
And Earl, Teresa's husband, like Shane was saying about when they would come down to visit. When our kids were little, Grandma Morgan sent us some money to buy a swing set for the kids, and so they had to go over to our house, and so they came. Uncle Dave brought Grandma down and to help her when we hadn't put it up yet. And he also brought a, I think it was a water cooled air conditioner to put under our furnace. And but to do that, you'd have to lift there and crawl under the house, crawl under the mobile home, and do a bunch of stuff. And you acted like you really wasn't too thrilled about going there for free, you know, freebie. And Grandma Morgan, she says, "Well, Dave, she's gonna give you two choices. You can either help them with get your furnace going, or you can help set up the swing." Well, it didn't take all day long to make up his mind. Let's get that swing set up. But you know, I love Uncle Dave, and he'd come down and he'd always go for a walk in the morning. He'd always be the first one up before anybody else, and he'd go out for his walk around the branch and everywhere, and come back and, oh, you guys finally got up, huh? But he's gonna be missed.
Back in the late 60s, early 70s, I used to babysit for my oldest brother and his wife, and they owned with my father an apartment complex on 8th Avenue, and Dave was renting a unit from that complex. Well, every Saturday night was dance night at, was it I don't know, some place. The Eagles, one of the military places, and they would go out, and so I'm babysitting for my oldest brother, and Dave's out dancing and having a great time. So between Virgil drinking and Dave drinking, they almost had to flip a coin to see, because I didn't drive yet, so who was going to take me home and who was less drunk. It was just like, oh my God. But I always made it home safely, regardless of who was able to bring me home. But that was early fun time memories.
So most of you know me, I'm Teresa, Dave's niece. He was a great uncle. I'll be honest, when I was younger, he was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to take that because I came from my dad's, and we were very loud. And so, but my earliest memories would be when Grandma and Grandpa would have me over for the weekend, and she'd always cook a salmon on Sunday that my Uncle Gary had caught, and always have Uncle Dave down there. And so he was always there, and I loved him. I didn't know what, I fit anyway, but I think maybe Grandma knew that I was going to be needing to be close to him, because after they passed away, he was my link to my mom. And even though I don't because I was only 3 when she passed away, but I had a living, breathing link to my mom. And then when my dad passed away last year, he had my back. I knew I still had somebody that had my back. But so some of the memories we talked about, 2 things. He always had a garden until the last few years. And maybe that's where I got I wanted to do better, I want to have a bigger garden, but I loved his gardens. And he liked to fish. I think he went on a couple, I'm not sure, trips to like Hell's Canyon, maybe somebody else. I think this picture is from one of them, one of his trips to Hell's Canyon. I was always jealous of him because I thought, oh man. And when he came down, I'd always try to put a bug in his ear if I knew he was coming. Usually, sometimes he'd just call like, I'll be there in the morning. Okay. Better clean. Not that I loved having him, but I had 7 kids, and so I had to do a lot of cleaning. But anyway, he would always, I'd try to say, can you bring me some peaches, or bring me some pears, or asparagus, that good Yakima fruit, and he'd bring it, but he'd hand it to me, he'd go to work. Usually they weren't ripe yet, so, because he's lucky, because if they were, then I would have had him in there helping me. But anyway, one time he came down, and these earrings are for you, Uncle Dave. I just got a new earring thing, and I had a big board, and I had it in my living room on my piano, and I was getting all my earrings, and I had a lot of blingy ones, and he comes in, he says, wow, that's a lot of fancy fishing lures. I'm like, I guess so. So, the one time Earl and I were working some cattle, we have cattle, and we had to, I think we were branding and vaccinating, and we even had a wild moment when the calf flipped something up, but anyways, and he just stood there watching us, and we got done, and I think he's like, wow, you really are a cowgirl. I don't know what he thought I did all these years, but anyway, so I asked my kids too, any memories they had, and my oldest son Dustin said he always liked to come at harvest, and he usually did because he loved the smell of the onions. And Kim, you probably noted, yeah, when they're doing onions, you can smell them, but he loved the smell. Cody, my son, said he always had a cup of Folgers in the morning, and he was an easygoing guy. My daughter Mandy, remember him, what she remembers is one time, I think it was when he was on one of these trips, so we had to come to Yakima, and I can't remember what for, but he offered to let us stay in his house, and that's pretty big when there's 9 of you, and I had 7 littles, but we opened all the windows because it was hot in the summertime. And are any Scullies here? Okay, I don't know if you lived there then, but I just wondered because we were watching Jumanji. We'd never seen that before, and I remember we just all screamed, and we thought, I wonder what they think, because we're in town. We gotta be quiet. We're in town because we live out in the country, and it was funny, but he never said anything, so anyway, let's see, and then my other daughter Whitney told about all the things that he made, and for everyone, and the hard thing is I can always break them, and then I'd have to, oh, Uncle Dave's coming, I gotta fix that, I gotta fix this, and anyway, and about the walnuts, I didn't realize one of the days when I was up cleaning, working at Uncle Dave's house this week, I was going in and a lady stopped me and she says, are you related to David? And I said, yeah, I'm his niece. And she said, he was such a nice guy. He would let me borrow his soul shovel, and and he gave me walnuts, and I thought, wow, he must have done a lot of walnuts because everybody got walnuts, everybody, and the time and the patience to sit there, because he was showing me the board and the pliers and the hammer, especially the black walnuts, I guess, are really, really hard.
English walnuts.
Or English
Yeah.
ones. And I'm just grateful for that. He taught me, he was always busy. I mean, he always had his Westerns on, but I never saw him sit there and just watch a show. He was always doing something. And oh, and the one memory that all of our kids, I don't think I'll never forget, is he came down one time and it was the 4th of July, and so I bought a pack of red, white, and blue M&Ms, and I was